You were my first love and I can't ever let you go. Thinking of all of our time in the soft breeze. Not a lot of love can withstand.
Good morning, guys. Right. First thing I'm going to say is excuse my voice. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, and as you can hear, my voice isn't the best. But I'm going to crack on, nevertheless. Bright and early, Saturday morning. We are a little after 5 o'clock. I woke up, as I always do, 4 o'clock, thinking what I've got to get done today, and I need a productive day on this car. It's been a little while since I've made a video, so this one you are going to see a few updates. I have been cracking on. I've been having to do work as well, obviously, but the car has been getting done. It hasn't been sat just still with no work getting done. Let's have a little look. Right, so gear cables, etc., they're all in. Wiring loom, I've started to tidy that up now with what I call loom tape. Don't know if that is the actual name for it, but it's this kind of cloth tape. Makes everything look really good on the wiring loom. Just neatens everything up really, really well. Looks clean, looks tidy. So I've been going over the whole loom with that to make it look better. I've installed my fuel pressure regulator just because it's a little job that needed doing. And that line there, I'm going to be replacing some of the lines, but some of them which are still in perfectly good condition. Everything is being inspected on this car, so everything that's still in good condition and usable is still going to be used. As you can see, I've now got this wing on as well, and I did give that just a little polish as well, just because I was really worried that the paint that I'd done this bay in was really far out from the body. It was looking to be quite bright compared to the body. Well, it turns out that the body was just filthy dirty. When I've actually polished it, you can see it's not a million miles out from what I've painted under there with, so I'm really happy. Now, the biggest improvement which you're going to see with this car is obviously I have now painted the inside, and that is looking a million times better. I think we'd all agree. I've put the door bars in, so they're in now. I've cleaned and refitted my shifter, and I'm in the process of putting my pedal box in down there. I went and picked up a few brake fittings that I was needing yesterday, which is going to allow me to get that install finished, and then I can obviously get the brakes bled and everything like that. But yeah, you know what? For someone that isn't a painter, I'm more than happy with that. It's white, it's shiny. I think that looks pretty decent. It will certainly do me for this track build. So, what have I got on the cards for today? I have baffled my sump. That is all done. It's a bit of a hybrid baffle system. So it's one that I did take off of YouTube. I saw someone else doing this. I liked the idea. So I did a very similar thing myself. The sump is just sat on there at the moment. I'm going to take that off in a minute, and I've got some Honda Bond. I'm going to seal that up and leave that because I'm not going to be a million miles off from starting this car soon. So I want that sump to sit now for 24 hours once I've put it on, so that sealant has got time to go off before I put any oil in this thing. So that's on my list of jobs to do today, seal the sump. I have also done a majority of my wheel alignment. Now that again, was something that I wasn't expecting to do at this point. I was going to wait until the very end, but I found myself at a point the other day where the car was on the floor, and I had a job on the ramp which I couldn't continue with, and I thought, what can I do to the 205 while it's on the floor? And I thought it was a good opportunity to try and get the wheel alignment somewhere near. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that's come out as well. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into that maybe later on in the video, but for now, that is somewhere near. Hopefully as well today, I'm going to drop the rear beam off this thing. I've got a little bit of welding still to do on the back end of the floor, and then I can wrap to paint the underside of the back of this, ready for the beam and everything like that to go back up. And like I did with the front, once that's all done, it hasn't got to come off again, which is going to be a massive step forward, a big milestone. I went yesterday and picked up a sheet of aluminium. That turned into an absolute nightmare because my battery went flat on my truck. Of course it did. And I got stuck in Wrexham. So thankfully my wife, Justine, came out in the trusty old Audi and towed me home. I did try a local garage to see if they would borrow me just a jump pack to get me going, and that just didn't work. And then, yeah, it soon became apparent that I just needed to get it back to the workshop where I'd got all my tools and everything where I could deal with it myself. So we towed it back here. That sat outside. My aluminium's there. That's another story. But so I've got my aluminium sheet now. That is just sat there. It's a big sheet, it's a 2x1 sheet, but that is going to make my fuel tank. And I'm hopefully going to be doing that in today's video as well. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you're going to be trying to get a lot done today. I can't see this happening, but I am planning on a really productive day today, guys. So I'm hoping that fuel tank is going to be made today, because obviously until I get that on, this car cannot start. So I do plan to try and get that made today. So with that being said, I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm going to crack on, because yeah, I need a really productive day on this car, and it's only going to happen if I pull my finger out. Some of you will be thinking, he's nuts going down this workshop at 4:30 in the morning. He's bonkers. I do go to bed at about 9, so I have had a decent night's sleep, but once I'm awake, and I start thinking about everything that I've got to get done, and I may as well be down here cracking on with this. It's the only way it's going to get finished. I may as well be down here cracking on with this rather than laying in bed just thinking about it. That gets nothing done. So I'm going to finish my coffee, I'm going to enjoy my coffee, and I'm going to crack on, and let's see where we get to today with this car. So before I go putting this sump onto the car, I just thought I would quickly run by what I've done in it. Now, I bought this baffle plate off of eBay. This comes as a kit, just with these couple of bits that are down here in the corner as well. Now, there was another piece that goes into this corner, and there was also a piece which stuck out here. Now, with that in place and that in place, this sump would not go back on the car. So I don't know why. I don't know if it had been just slightly bent too big or what. I tried a few modifications to get it to fit and still go back on the car, and it wouldn't go back on easy enough for my liking. So I decided to just do away with that particular part. All it does is stop so much oil splashing up around the side of the timing chain that runs underneath the bottom of the oil. Again, for myself, I kind of want a bit of oil sloshing up onto the bottom of my timing chain. I'm sure it gets lubed from the top as well, but I also want a bit of oil around the bottom of it. So that to me didn't seem like a bad thing. So I've left that part off just because I couldn't get it to go back on, didn't seem to want to fit, and yeah, it just didn't seem right. Now what I have done, which will obviously stop so much sloshing around anyway, is, if you can see in there, I've made another baffle plate. So that baffle plate sits just underneath. Normally you put this top on and there's nothing underneath. Now the drop-in baffles that you can buy for these cars, they surround the oil pickup. The oil pickup sits in there, and obviously it collects oil from that area. The drop-in ones that you can buy, they do exactly that. I've made another baffle, you can see, just under there, and then that one under there. So that anyway is going to stop my oil kind of sloshing around in that pan. Now I did buy some little rubber flaps which were going to go over those holes. I know what some of you will be thinking, well, without anything on there, oil can slosh through there. And yes, it can. But I'd read online about some of these baffle kits that you can buy, of the baffle plates getting stuck shut over time and oil, sludge, etc., and causing the complete opposite as to what a baffle sump is for. Rather than stopping the oil getting outside of the pickup area, it was slowing down oil getting back in, which is just as bad, if not worse, as the oil sloshing about. So for that reason, I decided to press some holes into my baffle plate and just leave them open. That is going to be a kind of, I feel, a compromise as to what should work quite good all round. Is it going to control the oil quite as much? Maybe not, but it's going to be better than no baffled sump at all. I haven't got the worry of bits falling off in my sump or bits getting stuck and this engine not getting oil or sucking something up that shouldn't be in the engine. So for that reason, I opted to just drill and press a few holes in my baffle, which is going to work fine. I'm pretty sure of that. If it doesn't, I'm happy to accept that risk. So what I need to do now is I'm ready to put this back on. I just need to clean all this old sealant off of the bottom of my sump. And then I've got some 3-bond, Honda Bond as I call it. And I'm going to clean this up, I'm going to reseal it, and then I'm going to get that sump back on. And then, like I said, that can sit for 24 hours or so. And I'm a good at least 24 hours off putting any oil back into this thing anyway. So that's going to give it time to set before any fluids go back into it. So let's get this sump on and that's another job done. So I've cleaned and prepped this now. I've cleaned this surface area here. All I've done is I've rubbed it over with just what I call a Scotch-Brite pad, and then I've also got just an old rag with some thinners on it, and I've just cleaned any grease and any dirt off there because I don't want any chance of this not sealing. Now I've done the same on the sump itself as well, on the engine block, so that's all good to go. Now this is what I use for sealing it. It is also known as Honda Bond. Now I'm going to put this obviously all around the face of this sump. Now don't go crazy with this stuff, guys. This is only to make a gasket, that's it. I have known people to go absolutely mental with this stuff, and that can also cause you issues, because what you end up then is you end up with a build up of this all kind of splodging out the sides, if you like, as you tighten it up. And as that sets and that goes off, little bits of that can break off and get stuck in your oil pickup pipe and cause absolute havoc. So whilst we are looking to make a seal with this, don't go mental with it. You don't need too much of it. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to get this all around this sump, get it up. I'm going to find out the torque specs as well, because I don't know them off the top of my head. And I'm going to get this sump torqued up. They don't go up that tight. Bear in mind, we're going into an alley block. The last thing you want is to be stripping threads. So if you're doing this, guys, I'm pretty sure most of you are competent mechanics anyway, but if you're doing this, just make sure you check out your torque specs and don't go mad with this stuff, and you'll be fine. So there we go. I've put just a small bead, and it is only a small bead, right the way round the base of that sump, and that is now ready for me to push up underneath the engine and secure in place. Like I said, I haven't gone crazy with it, just enough to make a seal. So that's the sump back on. Everything's all torqued up. 12 Newton meters, by the way, guys, these sump bolts. So that's everything done. And obviously, if you've not done one of these before, when you put these back on, what I always do is, like when you're tightening down a cylinder head, so I don't go round every single one of them in a row. I kind of tighten them opposites, just to pull the sump up nice and flat. The last thing you want to do, these things are aluminium, and whilst I think you would struggle to probably crack one unless it was misaligned, it's always better just to tighten it down nice and evenly. So I kind of start in each corner, do opposites, and kind of across. You get the picture, like tightening down a cylinder head. So next job on the to-do list for today, it is still pitch black outside. That's how much of an early bird I was this morning. So light's a little bit short under here, sorry. So yeah, next on today's to-do list is to get this back end sorted. Obviously, I have wrapped, painted all that, and I stopped where the fuel tank kind of started, just because I knew I still had work to do under here. And until I box this work off under here, I can't really move any further forward with putting stuff back on this car. Now, I have just stripped off all my rear beam. So that's now off. I'm going to give all this a really good clean, obviously, before it goes back on. And I am going to get the welder out now. And I've got a couple of small patches underneath the back of this thing that I need to weld. And then it's going to be back out with a Raptor paint, and I can get all the back of that raptored, and then I can get all this back on. And then in the meantime, I can measure up for my fuel tank, get my fuel tank made. And again, you know, as these parts are going on now, they don't have to come back off again. So that's the underside of this now, all welded. And I've put some etch primer under here. I just had these recesses here to make just for clearance for my suspension. But that now is all ready to have Raptor paint. I am going to go up onto the rear panel there just to tidy that all up. I've took the back bumper off, and I've also took the rear suspension setup off and just cleaned all that, so that's all nice and clean, ready to go back on. So yeah, I'm going to get the Raptor paint out, get this all painted up, and it's going to start to look pretty posh. Getting there. Oh, what a messy job. So there we go. That's the bottom, all done. I need to let this dry now. Obviously, I've done under the arches as well. I've done the back panel. It looks pretty good. Well, it looks a hell of a lot better than it did. I can obviously start to assemble this now once this is dry. These little cutouts, they came out really, really well. I'm really happy with them. I think we can all agree it looks really neat and tidy under here now. By the time all my suspension setup is back under here, it's going to look fabulous. I've got just a whole load of parts building up over here now. My plan was to build my fuel tank today, but you know what, this floor, to do this back end, it's taken a lot longer than I expected, and I'm feeling it today, I'm not gonna lie. Been up since just gone 4. I've worked hard on the car today and I'm feeling it, so I'm going to call it a day and I'll get my head together and we'll get back on this next week. Really need to push this next week. Obviously I've got work to do as well, but next week I need to have a strong week on this. I need to start just putting everything that I've got here in boxes, all the new stuff. I need to get it on and I need to get this thing running. 28th of this month, so not far away. This car is booked in to have the map checked. It's got to be running by then. Yeah, time's running out, guys, and but it's going to get there. I'm sure of that. So thanks very much for watching this video, and once again, I really appreciate each and every one of you that watches. Share it around, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks very much.